G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. Please hit the subscribe button if you are here. Helps me a lot with the YouTube algorithm. And yeah, Reds versus the Chiefs, Super Rugby round 11, Suncorp Stadium. This is a game that, yeah, the Chiefs were able to squeeze out a win over the Reds. To be really frank, this is a really closely contested match. For a lot of the game, both teams played a lot of the kicking game. And the Reds is really starting to show that lack of options without James O'Connor. It's really one of those things where the Reds is kicking, not because they want to, but because they really look like they don't know what else they can do. Even though when the Reds do attack, they looked really good. But the attack gets stale after, 4 or 5 phases. And then it's almost like they needed a little bit of a spark from James O'Connor, a little bit of that, decision making from James O'Connor, the organization, the leadership to really keep that attack moving forward a little bit more. They're just not having that this game. And as a result, there was a lot of kicking. And maybe the weather played a little bit of an issue. There was it looked like it was raining on TV. And also both teams were wearing dark jerseys. So there was a bit of a color clash, but I mean, it was not too bad, but it did look quite messy if there's like a lot of players crossing over each other in kind of like messy plays. You really can't tell who's who when there's like a loose ball or something where both teams are fighting for. So yeah, a really weird kind of game, really tight and close game. There was a lot of penalties given away by the Reds. So there was 2 yellow cards given away by the Reds, and the Chiefs had 1 red card with only 5 minutes to go. So the Reds only got 5 minutes out of the Chiefs' red card, whilst, playing with 14 players for 20 minutes of the game. Yeah, so the lack of directions without James O'Connor, the penalties given away, and the yellow cards really hurt the Reds. The Chiefs, on the other hand, also missing a lot of their key players as well due to injuries. Sam Kang isn't playing. Brody Retallick isn't here, and I don't think. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, so just want to double check. Yeah, so Brody Retallick's not here. I think what's his name? Number 9 is injured. I think he might be injured. What's his name? Brad Weber. I think Brad Weber might be injured. And obviously you have the Anton Leonard Brown injured for a while now. So yeah, this Chiefs team is also missing a few players, but overall the Chiefs did manage it and squeezed out the win. Yeah, so overall match stats, let's have a quick look. The Chiefs 513 run meters, the Reds 406. Turnovers conceded really high for both teams. Surprisingly, 17 against the Chiefs, 14 against the Reds. Tackle count, the Reds 163, 18 missed tackles to the Chiefs 131 and 10 missed tackles. Kicks in play. This is something that you see from the Springbok game. 32 kicks from the Reds and 28 by the Chiefs. Just to give you an idea, the match that if the Fijian Enduro is playing, you see teams on like single digit kicking. So the Enduros don't really kick. So this is like the opposite end, like, like triple the amount of kicking, more than triple the amount of kicking for both teams, right? Like, the Enduros would kick like 8 times a game. And, this 32 is ridiculous amount of kicking for the Reds. And I think this is probably the most they've kicked in the whole season. Conversions, the Reds ultimately, it's the penalties that they missed kind of hurt them. There was a penalty that the Reds missed and a conversion that was missed. One of the penalty was pretty straightforward. I thought maybe he should have got it. Crichton should have got it. And one of the conversion that he missed was on the sideline. It was a bit difficult, so really can't fault him for that. But Warren Gatlin Jr. was able to slot all of his penalties and conversions, and that proven to be the difference in the end for the teams. Lineouts lost 1 against the Reds, 0 for the Chiefs. Despite the Chiefs losing 1 scrum, the Chiefs had dominant scrummaging overall. They were consistently able to squeeze out penalties against the Reds. And Tupou was injured just before halftime, and then the Chiefs really squeezed in that advantage in the scrummaging times. And yeah, despite not giving away penalties in their own scrum in the Reds, but when on the Chiefs feed, a lot of penalties were given away. Yeah, overall penalty count 15 against the Reds, 2 yellow cards, 20 minutes in the bin, and then the Chiefs 8 penalties, 1 red card. There was one incident against the Reds where there could have been a red card. I think it was McDermott. No, it was McWright. It was either McWright or I think it was McWright. I think no, it was Angus Blythe. Angus Blythe, he went in on a tackle on one of the Chiefs players near his try line, head collision, and the referee deemed that not a penalty because Blythe was really low, and the Chiefs player was also like ducking into the tackle as well, so the both player collided heads doing that, and so there was no penalty. So I thought that was a really good decision by by referee, what's his name? Paul Williams. And yeah, he's really, really good this game, Paul Williams. So that was like we've seen in the past where any head collision is a minimum yellow card. So that would have been a yellow card because of the ducking of the attacking player. But Paul Williams basically said there is nothing the Reds player can do anymore. He's already ducking low, he's wrapping his hands, and the Chiefs player is literally like diving himself onto him. They can't go any lower to make this tackle. So Paul Williams made the right decision there. And yeah, I thought that was good. But the Chiefs were kind of unhappy. A similar situation kind of happened when the Chiefs players got the red card. 5 minutes left in the end of the game. One of the Chiefs players ran in, the Reds player ran in. I think it was McWright ran in. And I think the Chiefs number 20, again, not dipping enough, just kind of like a little bit of dipping. And McWright kind of like was also dipping a little bit. Head-to-head collision, shoulder to head on McWright, and then head-to-head. The referee said that was a red card because the defensive player didn't dip enough to make it safe. I thought that could have been a yellow because McWright was also dipping as well. I thought that was probably a yellow. But in this bigger scheme of things, there was only 5 minutes left. So yellow or red makes no really real difference in a situation in a game like this. And it's up to the committee to decide whether or not the player gets a match ban from this or not. But I felt like this was probably mitigated down to a yellow. Just some interesting stats at halftime. So the halftime, the Chiefs already had 317 run meters due to the Reds over kicking a little bit at halftime. The halftime score was 13 points to 13. Reds only had 175 run meters. And the Chiefs conceded 9 turnovers at halftime, and Reds only conceded 6. And the tackle count for the Reds, 119 at halftime to the Chiefs 63. Yeah, so really a lot of tackling was made for the Reds, and the kicking, 20 kicking for the Reds at halftime already. Teams don't even kick this much for a full game. So 20 kicks to the Chiefs 14. And 9 penalties given away by the Reds. So really, really, really poor discipline by the Reds. And probably too much unnecessary kicking resulted in way too much, putting themselves under way too much unnecessary pressure. So let's go through some of the points, summaries. So right away, the two teams are like really like tight at the beginning. As like I mentioned, lots of kicking. Reds gets the first opportunity to kick 3 points. 4 minutes into the game, Reds gets that. Gallen gets the opportunity to kick first 3 for the Chiefs, and 15 minutes in, he gets that. And then there was like a lot of kicking in both teams, tentative to like really like look scared to almost run the ball. 30 minute, Chiefs gets the second 3 points. 3 minutes later, Reds on the 26th minute, the Reds gets their second 3 points. And then the game kind of carried on like this all the way to just before halftime. The Chiefs really starting to turn a heat on just before halftime. And the Reds were just, it's almost like the Reds wanted to go to the break. So they were just kind of like really ill-disciplined just heading into halftime. They were just giving away so many penalties, and the Chiefs were piggybacking the penalties, start pinning the Reds down into their own 5-meter line. And then there was way too many penalties. It was just like literally piling up penalties, right? And the Chiefs just pounding the try line. You can almost feel like a yellow card was coming, right? And this is the point where the clock is going over the 40 minutes. So this already in the red, but the Reds were just not able to like every time there was a penalty, the Chiefs goes for a scrum, and then that scrum will build into a penalty. So the Chiefs has a free play essentially. Again and again, we're trying to score, and then the Reds will defend that, and then the Chiefs will go back to the scrum penalty, and they'll go for another scrum, rinse and repeat. And it was during this period, Tupou was injured as well, so the Red scrum got even worse. It took 6 minutes for this to, I think, at least 2 resets for the Chiefs to finally get and it looked like the referee could potentially get a yellow card or penalty try if there was another scrum penalty. So the Chiefs goes for another scrum with the I think so they go for another scrum, and then the scrum kind of wheels, and it looked like it could be a penalty coming again. The number 8 gets the ball from the Chiefs. I want to get his name. He's playing really well. So Akula, he played really well this game. He gets the ball, quick hands to no, actually that's the next game. So yeah, the Chiefs looks like it's getting a scrum again. Eventually Takiaho crashes over for the try just before. I'm pretty sure Ratama is the one that scored. I think actually this is wrong. I'm pretty sure Ratama is the one that scored before halftime. Yeah, and then Takiaho is the one that scored after halftime. So this is actually wrong. So yeah, but I think it's because the clock went to like almost 47 minutes. That's why the order is wrong here. But it's the number 8. So Akula gets the ball, quick hands to the short side. Rasmus gets the ball, goes in for the Chiefs try. Reds kind of got lucky here. If there was not a penalty, if this try wasn't scored, there was not a penalty. This could have been a penalty try or and a yellow card. So Reds got away from that without giving away too much. Oh yeah, sorry. The Reds actually scored on 30-minute point as well. I completely forgot about that. So the Reds actually had a bit of a flurry of their own around the 30-minute mark, just piling on pressure after a nice little line out. Wilson gets the ball. He looked like he dropped the ball, but the ruling nowadays, normally like in maybe like a couple of years ago, this would have been knock on. But nowadays, there has to be separation. You have to see like actual separation between the ball and the player. So if the player simply loses control and he still has contact with the ball, it's still a try. So this is basically what happened. Wilson looked like he lost control of the ball, but the ball was still like in contact with him as he grounded it onto the try line. So the referee couldn't see the ball leaving his body. So therefore, that was a try stand. It was a bit of a weird situation. This is kind of like a new adjustment to the law. But yeah, there was a lot of confusion even in the commentary. I thought that was a bit weird. But yeah, that's basically how the rule goes nowadays. So halftime, 13 points apiece for both teams. Second half starts. The Chiefs came out firing, and really starting to put on some pressure on the Reds. The 6 minutes in the second half, like I said, the scrum was a consistent issue for the Reds. So the Chiefs were just able to piggyback a lot of penalties. Eventually, they go for a line out. The line out sets up for a more, and then the Chiefs just start crashing the ball with a penalty advantage. Eventually, Takiaho, the hooker, gets the ball. He crashes. He bumps through McWright, and there was like 2 players right there, and they both kind of like didn't expect McWright to get bumped off. So they just like looked at him, and he runs through, just like literally 2 players just standing there watching him running past him for a try. So that was a really, really good, good effort there. And then also when this try was scored, like I mentioned, just before halftime, the Reds are already giving away too much penalties, and then now the Reds are giving away a lot of penalties as well. So Harrison, the number 8, gets a yellow card from the Reds. So Reds goes down to 14 players. And then the Reds actually, when they were down in the bin, McDermott actually really stepped up, really picked up the tempo, really made a lot of really good plays. So on the 51st minute, McDermott gets a really poor kick by the Chiefs team. So he gets the ball, he counterattacks, and then the Chiefs defense was not there to pressure the kick. So McDermott just runs straight through. And then there was like one Chiefs defender at the back, and the McDermott links it up with Fluke. Fluke goes in for the Reds' second try for themselves. And this was during the yellow card period where Chiefs really shouldn't be losing points. And then The Reds missed the conversion here, so this really hurt the Reds. So the score is now 18 points to 20, right? And then a few minutes later, Jock Campbell also did really well, kicked a 50-22, and then followed up by dropping the ball. So anyway, let's not talk about that. The scrum penalty continues to build against the Reds. The Chiefs themselves, despite having one player up, was making a lot of little mistakes. On the 61st minute, finally the Chiefs tightened themselves up a bit. They made a really nice run down the sideline, just a little pop ball back and forward down the sideline, and the Chiefs were 5 meters short as they get tackled, and then it looked like the Chiefs knocked on the ball, right? And the referee pauses the game, checks for a deliberate knock on, and Jock Campbell, just reflex thing, like once the Chiefs player was offloading, just his reflex, stuck his hand out and touched the ball and knocks the ball, deliberate knock on. And then the referee said there was and I quote, there was a possible try, but it's not a probable try. Therefore, there was no penalty try. So Jock Campbell gets a yellow card for deliberate knock on. He actually looked like he did the Chiefs a favor by knocking the ball into the ball runner, who dropped the ball. But anyway, the referee says that was a penalty anyway. I think that's the right decision. So Jock Campbell gets a yellow card as well. So 2 yellow cards, just as Harrison came back. Reds give away another yellow card. So now the Reds had to play another 10 minutes with one person in the bin. Following this yellow card, 2 minutes later, the Chiefs, having one player advantage, just start crashing the ball. Sulakula, the big number 8, gets the ball. He just pummels himself through and goes in for the Chiefs' 3rd try. And then the Reds starting to feel under the pressure. They finally get a scrum penalty on the 68th minute. The player seems to get really desperate at this point for the Reds. A lot of attempted intercepts, despite they just had a yellow card for deliberate knock on. So Sanda Paisami tried out an intercept. McDermott, I think he tried for an intercept. There was a lot of attempt for intercepts. Almost looked like the Reds have no idea what they want to do at this point. Finally, on the 75th minute, there was a head collision between the Chiefs 22 and Fraser McRae, and Chiefs gets a red card with 5 minutes to go. So now the Reds has the opportunity to win the game. A minute later, following this penalty, the Reds just take a quick tap instead of going for a line out. They start running the ball from the quick tap, just crashing. And then it looked like the Reds was going to crash again. They faked the crash ball, and then the forwards just passed the ball amongst themselves, and then quickly passed the ball back in the back, looped the ball out into the back line, and then Hunter Basami gets the ball out in the back line, and there was just like a massive open field out wide, because all the Chiefs were expecting the Reds forwards to crash the ball again. Just like that, Hunter Basami goes in for a Reds try, 25-20, this one gets converted, 25-27, with 2 points in it, and there was about 2 minutes left on the clock from the kickoff. And right from the kickoff, Hunter Paisami, after just scoring the try, runs his own teammate. I thought this could have been a penalty, but for obstruction, but the referee says it's an accident. So no penalty, but the Chiefs gets a scrum, and the Chiefs knocks on the ball, and then Reds gets I think the Reds gets another scrum, and then the Reds tries to run the ball out when the clock is red from their own half, and immediately gets isolated, and Chiefs turn the ball over. Game ends 25-27. So, yeah, this was, I mean, without James O'Connor, the Reds really looked like they lacked a little bit of spark, a little bit of, playmaking. Crichton is decent at the basics, but really need a little bit more creativity from him in these big games to be able to pull out a win, in my opinion. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this game, guys. Did you watch it? Some of you guys called the Chiefs to win this one, and they sure did. Really close, but they sure did. And let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys a bit later for the Western Force game. Cheers.